Hello and welcome to the DFS_PhD show for today, the 29th of January. Remember, you're good enough, you're strong enough, and gosh darn it, someone's got to win that money. Congrats to our own Shilly23 from the Discord, taking down this competition with 170.88. I think I might have even had this one in some Saddies and stuff because I had one that took down Saddies as well. Nice work, everyone. Let me also make sure to say nice work to our resident or our newest millionaire. The Colts, I think his name is Steve. So I try to remember people's actual names as much as often as they introduce themselves. This was a nice win. Was there a zero in there? I forget. No, no zeros, of course. But nice $1 million win. And another one for the Stochastic Sims. Hard to ignore. They're doing pretty well. And they do have, I saw they have an all sports bundle now for like $500 a month. So if you're making $1 million, you're probably paying that. But $6,000 a year, just a lot to swallow for me. Okay, so now let's have a look at today's basketball slate. We've got a few things. It's a little bit early. This is somewhere between a slate starter and the post. We're not quite to the shoot around news yet. And there's 11 games. 11 games means how many dudes, right? 22 teams, at least 10 guys in the rotation on each team. So 220 dudes that matter, like a lot. So that's a lot of dudes. And like 1% of those dudes is two dudes, so like any 1% outcome you think could happen today is weird, could happen. So, be ready for like weird news out of shoot around, somebody being present, but not like participating or something. Pay attention to those weird, like reading the tea leaves things. But we have some obvious rules and some obvious misprojections in the early, it's the early day runs for SaberSim, whatever, but I can't forgive a few of them. So first of all, we have max 2 out of 3 for the New Orleans Big Three, max 2 out of 3 for the Phoenix Big Three. I turned on the rule for Clippers, but as long as Paul George is on his minutes restriction, that's not really going to matter. We have max 1 LA center. So both Theis and Plumlee are massively underprojected. They've played teams that can go small in the last several games. They are playing Cleveland today. Cleveland is not a team that goes small. They are a team that has Jarrett Allen. They are a team that has huge people all over the roster. So, I mean, who is behind Jarrett Allen again, actually? Let me double check this logic. So it's reasonably, yeah, I'll check it in a second. This is a weird layout. They changed something about the layout today. So sorry if I can't find something. We got a Knicks center foul trouble thing, but Hartenstein and Precious are both a little too pricey today. So I don't think I'm getting to any of them. Max 2 out of 3 of the Minnesota bigs is another important rule. I like that's Naz Reid in case either Gobert or other big guy, Cat, get in foul trouble. So those are the rules we got today. I don't think any other ones yet. Leaving up to $200 on the table, that might even be a bit much today. You could build probably a whole set of 50K, like full salary lineups. Leaving one on the table or something might be even better. But let's look at where we're at exposure-wise. Well, let me say the tweaks I made, and then I'll get into the exposure. So, I like to hack up the slate. I'm not hacking up any of the pace projection stuff because I got that wrong the other day. And every time I've been sticking my neck out there, it's been wrong. So I'm not going to do that. However, within teams, we're having misprojections of minutes. So whenever that happens, I'm still going to seize on it. So either it's the Naz Reid fork, like I was just talking about, but I don't really want him to dominate the slate in terms of, I don't think he's necessarily the top value. So let's put him down a little lower. Oh, okay. It automatically applied that, I think. Whatever, which still didn't change the amount. But then, so Mason Plumlee is another guy where like he could start and play 30 minutes and nobody would bat an eye in this game, guys. I mean, like he could really break the slate. So if he's going to be 0.5% owned, I just don't understand what people are doing at center today. I don't get it. And I have one cross off for me right off the bat. If Reggie Jackson is going to be the highest owned player of the slate, for no reason, I'm not going to play him. Easy, done deal. I mean, like I looked all over. What am I missing? Please pop it in the chat. I checked. Jamal is playing today. Like, yes, if Jamal Murray gets ruled out or something, play Reggie Jackson. If Jamal Murray doesn't get ruled out, what are we doing here? Like all the rest of the plays, at least. I mean, I guess it's the same as Jonathan Isaac, right? Like, Jonathan Isaac, backup center for Orlando, might not even get those minutes depending on the rotation. Backup power forward, that's fine, but I can't be overweight on that. Cam Thomas has been starting in place of Cam Johnson, so as long as that's true, that's fine. He still has to hit shots though. Maybe I go a little bit lower on Cam Thomas for that reason. Peyton Watson is a great value. Don't miss out on this. He has been playing serious minutes, and when he gets minutes, he scores points. So definitely get yourself some Peyton Watson exposure. Well, we've now hit the point where I've made too many tweaks since my last simulation. I have to run it again. But let me see. Have I yelled about Nick Richards yet? No, I don't think so. There's a few other, yeah, so projection changes. I haven't finished doing that yet. What are we doing with Nick Richards? Like, this is the worst. So obviously there's some guys that are part of various rules. Jarrett Allen, I gave an extra point to. He's just been getting extended recently. Um, but Brandon Ingram part of a rule, McCollum part of a rule. But look at this. We got a projection of 25 points in like almost no minutes from Nick Richards. I how? Like I double checked last game. He played 36 minutes. Like maybe more, maybe 30. I forget what it was. But they completely don't understand what's going on here. Nick Richards is a smash play on any slate. You know what? I'm confident in it. Like this is just way. He's massively underpriced. He's going to be. I think he's got to be core today. Um, but anyway, so let's see. Beyond that, I think that's the last piece. So we obviously have to wait and hear about what's going to go on with LaMelo. I've actually raised LaMelo's projections and still get no LaMelo today. At the top, the reason is at the top, these guys are massively better than everybody else, so I projected them that way. Doncic without the other guy, without his point guard, Kyrie, is obviously the best play of the slate. He's I don't know what his average is without Kyrie, but you know it's huge and his upside is huge and the median is huge. Like it's just these numbers are all large. So we need them higher than they are. And then Giannis is playing Jokic, right? So this game is going to stay close and be a high scoring game where both of them are going to be trying to put up points. Now, granted, there's a chance of foul trouble or whatever, but I can't be underweight there. We've got Wembanyama, who's getting his minutes extended and probably in a competitive game in this real crap fest of San Antonio versus Washington. There's just so many fun, attractive options up here. That's why you're not getting to guys, even though I've raised them. Like as part of my big three rule, I got Devin Booker projected for a lot coming off those games. If LaMelo's in, still not getting to him. You know, there's just a lot of other good value today, or a lot of good. There's enough good value that you don't have to play questionable stars. You can play stars. And another guy who's going to smash today, Kyle Kuzma. 17% is disrespectful in a game where Kyle Kuzma is definitely going to play the minutes. You know what I mean? He's not San Antonio. Who's going to? I mean, Wembanyama can stop him. Are they really going to match up like that? I hope not. If they match, I mean, they will be trying their best to make sure that Kuzma does not have to drive into Wembanyama. I tell you that much. All right. Oh yeah, and then what is going on with Quentin? I mean, so that was the one court IQ I pulled up for the Knicks because everything's wrong here. So Quentin Grimes gets the biggest bump. How many minutes are we talking? 283 minutes. I knew it would be a lot. And now number one, the reason, so this is with Randall off the court. This is kind of a first and second unit thing, right? Because Quentin Grimes comes in with the second unit often and dominates usage, but still, that's a lot of minutes, too many minutes to ignore. So he's the best play on the slate, no question about it. Absolutely core for me. Same with Nick Richards. Those are the two best. I don't understand Nick Richards, not the ownership. That I don't get it. So he's got to be. There's no other center that's like popping off for any reason. Another guy who I think is really solid and going under owned. He started both the second half in like 3 consecutive games. Larry Nance. Larry Nance is getting. I mean, how many minutes is he winding up with? I'm only seeing that Nance stats. Is that enough? Yeah, 18 minutes. It's not exactly where I'd love him to be. I was hoping to see that being more like 22, 24 with him getting the second half start. But he's getting consistently 20 minutes, so you know he's playable. Do I really want to bump him up to 24 though? No, I don't. I want 8, 19 is fine. Okay, let's see. Have I applied that? Let's apply that change. It's still going to tell me it can't fix it. Oh, everything fits now. That's good. Down here at the bottom, I've adjusted Mason Plumlee up, but only given it a 15% chance of success because I don't know exactly what their plan is and they're going against Cleveland. So Jarrett Allen is definitely better than Mason Plumlee and could dominate him into the ground, but he could stay on the court and smash. So these are the two options. So Plumlee and Theis, I think we've got to fork with them. Oh yeah, that's one thing I wanted to check earlier. Oh, I'm not getting my normal, something's weird about the app this morning. I'm not getting my normal filters and stuff that I can like filter by team. So I can't do my normal checking on who Who is the backup? Oh, Tristan Thompson. Is Tristan Thompson out yeah, he got banned for steroids. So who's the backup now that Tristan Thompson got banned for steroids? So I got to go to like popcorn machine, look at the last Cleveland game. Cleveland game flow. This might have been him still in the rotation. No. Okay. So when Jared Allen comes out, we get Damian Jones for like 2 minute stints. So we get 12 minutes of Damian Jones in weird stints. And we're getting massive amounts of Jared Allen, 36 minutes. Okay. So number one, got to make sure we got appropriate number of Jared Allen minutes. Okay, how am I? What happened to our scroll bar? I don't know what happened to my scroll bar here. Is it at the top now? That can't, whatever. I can't figure out how many minutes we got him projected for, but 40 points seems fine. You don't really have to go overboard on Jared Allen. I was right. The point of this was to check out who the backup was from a like matchup perspective. And Damian Jones is still a big. So when you add up Damian Jones 20, his 12 minutes with Jarrett Allen's 36, they're still running a true big out there 48 minutes. So we can expect that to be matched by the Clippers because the Clippers like to go small, but I mean, I guess you could attack Damian Jones with like whatever pick and roll or something if you go small and try to run him off the court. But why are you doing that? He's only out there for 2 minutes. You know what I mean? I think you just match him. You just playing at bigs against bigs because you got him. I mean, you got Theis, you got anyway. So I think you play that Theis fork a fair amount, the Theis and yeah. So I'm getting some Theis here. I think I limited it to 10% just because I'm not sure about the rotations. You know, like I'm not. SaberSim loves Champagny. So because the San Antonio Washington game is going to stay close, there should be guys from that team on both sides that you get to that you don't normally get to. Like, for instance, what do we got Theis projected for today? 32 is fine. Yeah. So guys that are like going to definitely be out there, you know, the minutes that often are losing minutes in a blowout. So you see the core. We've also got Josh Hart up here. So because Randall is out, Josh Hart is another guy who gets a bump for sure. He's going to get the minutes now, we would suspect. So that's why Josh Hart is up there in the core level of dude. Doncic obviously up there in the core level of dude for reasons of the best play. So yeah, I think let's make it Doncic, Grimes, and Richards in terms of like just guys you got to have on this slate. I think you can probably go up to 60% Doncic. What's he going to do? Not score 100? Hurt you? Okay, yeah. So Doncic, Richards, and Grimes are my core right now. I mean, probably a more responsible core is Doncic, Grimes, and Hart, right? Like have everybody be because somebody is out, and then yeah, that's probably more responsible. So I'm gonna make that my more responsible core. I'm gonna have Hart be a 50% guy. It's just I don't know if we're gonna even use that. Yeah, he's just not that good of a play. Just because of he doesn't score that much, you know. Like you got to get those peripheral stats. So if Josh Hart doesn't get 2 steals and 5 boards and 8 assists or whatever, then he's probably not going to get you there with points. You know what I mean? And like blocks or whatever the normal. He doesn't really replace the usage of Randall, but he did. I think 30 was in line with what we were expecting. Yeah, 30 is in line with what we expect from court IQ. Same thing with like Anunoby. That's another guy who's like not sure exactly what to do with today because we don't really have enough minutes, but SaberSim projection there seemed fine. So you could boost Anunoby if you want, but his price is up anyway. Me. All right, I think I've reviewed pretty much all the dudes I think are in play today. I think, yeah, you get to some Nick Claxton, but the projections are all fine there. I've told you who my preference up at the top, my preference for values, who I'm absolutely not playing in Reggie Jackson. I mean, get out of town with that. Like, I mean, Jonathan Isaac, honestly, is another guy that, like, if you wanted to just cross him off, 35% Jonathan Isaac is just a lot. I mean, both of these guys are probably going to get you those 20 points. You know what I mean? But they're definitely, I'm pretty certain, not going to get you 30. You know what I mean? Like, they're just the cap on your upside is so high there compared to like Grimes could be out there all game jacking him up. I mean, like, granted, he has to hit him to get you to 30, but his upside is close to unlimited for the same kind of a median. You know what I mean?
And same thing with Mason Plumlee. If they leave him out there 36 minutes, what do you think is going to happen? Break the slate. Nick Richards, if they leave him out there 36 minutes, what do you think is going to happen? Break the slate. You want guys who like aren't just going to go, hit that average enough, right? So that's why I'm against Reggie Jackson and Jonathan Isaac. Although of the two, Isaac has both less of a minute ceiling and less of a like ceiling in terms of ability. He could get a zillion blocks anytime, like against, oh gosh, this is against like Kleba and there's a reason I didn't unclick Isaac and I did unclick Reggie Jackson. It's just like I just don't see the upside at all for Reggie Jackson, and I can very clearly imagine the upside in like 35% of the cases for Jonathan Isaac. So I'm matching the field with bad chalk Isaac, and I'm completely undoing bad chalk Reggie Jackson. But also, I should say, people talk a lot about chalk because it's a good thing to talk about. Like it's kind of fun to talk about. And it's important when you're making pivots, when you're like, you already know how your lineup's doing and you're deciding if you need leverage or if you want to go with, or if you're trying to cover the most lineups possible because you already have an amazing lineup. But assuming you're starting from the beginning, this is not a showdown. This is not like when, I showed the uniqueness percents and stuff and you have to run a geomean of ownership filter. Not on an 11 game slate. Never, never, never. It doesn't matter. These ownerships are probably even too condensed, although I don't think Doncic is appropriate. He's definitely going to be, I mean, with the value we have, at least 40%, he's probably going to be more like 50%. There's no, if Doncic should be very, very highly owned. He's clearly the best play on the slate. But besides that, I don't think you're going to see ownership quite this condensed. I mean, probably also Wemby will be pretty highly owned. These are just guys who are just very clearly have reasons why people are going to play them and why they're going to appear in more people's optimals. So I'm going to do the thing where like I just adjust for everybody playing contest sims. Everybody playing contest sims is going to jam Luka and Wembanyama today. They probably should. It seems right. So anyway, and you can do that if you want. You don't have to do that. I don't know what that does on the back end of Saber Sims, whatever. It's slightly changing percentages here in the background. I don't really care. I just wanted to reflect who I think are the best chalk of the day. I don't understand how Josh Hart isn't getting more love. I expect he probably will. Just like so many of these guys are default guys. You know what I mean? Up here at the top, like I would say the default guys are Reggie Jackson, Jonathan Isaac, and Peyton Watson. Now, all of them are fine. Like I'm not limiting my Peyton Watson. I want to match the field on Peyton Watson. I definitely want to match the field on Jonathan Isaac just because I think they have pop-off potential. Also, Peyton Watson's 3,400. What are we doing? Dude's playing like, am I wrong? He's playing significant minutes in the rotation. And the way they've been pricing it this year, that's not acceptable. Yeah, like this is like 22 minutes from Peyton Watson we're expecting. Now, granted, he's missed every single three for the last two games while he's been playing extended minutes, but the dude's playing almost half the game and he's like almost min price. So you cannot, I mean, honestly, 18 is disrespectful. What is that just like what he's been scoring the last couple of games? Where was those stats? So yeah, that must be it. 9 plus like 16 plus 4. No, that's like 20. Yeah, you got to give Peyton Watson a little bit more than 18 in these minutes, I think. 7 plus 4, 11 plus 7, 18 plus a little bit for the fractions. Yeah, I think he's got to be more like a 20 or a 21 at this point. I want to be seeing myself overweight on Peyton Watson, I think. Yeah, slightly overweight on Peyton Watson. So again, though, there's no reason for it, right? Like the reason is that he's been getting more play in this rotation. It's a high scoring game, and I expect that he could get extended in the case of some amount of foul trouble for other guys because it is a tight game. And he's been doing well in those minutes, so I expect there's no reason they should pass him over for some random other guy. So that's why Peyton Watson gets a lot of look. And I mean, the same deal if you went to look at Jonathan Isaac's recent games, but there's just not a similar thing. When you look at Reggie, I mean, let me double check. Reggie Jackson stats. Am I missing something? Is he getting massive run? 18 minutes in the last game. I missed every shot, but I mean, 24 minutes is definitely his ceiling. Ooh, okay, why am I playing a zillion Reggie Jackson? The other guy who was up here was it Jonathan Isaac? I'll tell you why I'm playing Jonathan Isaac. I bet Jonathan Isaac stats. 23 minutes, 22 minutes. He's for sure getting those minutes. And it could, I mean, like he's averaged in the past with the Magic 27, 29 minutes. They like to play Jonathan Isaac. Like it's not out of the question that they extend Jonathan Isaac. 22 is a perfectly reasonable midpoint expectation. 22 isn't for, I mean, Reggie Jackson, honestly, like that's not a reasonable midpoint, like 20 or something. Yeah, I just don't even have him at the same level that Saberson does have him at to where he becomes that big value. We got to wait for later in the day run or something. I just can't imagine that they mean to have this much Reggie Jackson. Okay, now that I've sufficiently ranted about every single player on this huge slate, feel free to leave me comments if you have a question about like Brandon Miller. This is still a little bit low for the way things are working in that offense. I do kind of want to be a little bit more overweight on him because he's had two really horrendously bad games in a row. And whenever a guy like that who's just stepping into a new role has had two really bad games in a row, people get off him more than they should. So for that reason, I'm going to be pushing a little bit on Brandon Miller. But it's just based on him having two stinkers in a row and being in a position where I mean, okay, let me clarify what the position is, right? They traded Terry Rozier. Brandon Miller is the Terry Rozier now, right? So what was Terry Rozier's price? That's what Brandon Miller's price should be now. That's what his upside is. I mean, like he's like a 10% discount Terry Rozier, whatever. And I'm not even sure about that because he can get rebounds. So he's got the same upside as Terry Rozier. That's who you should be thinking of when you're thinking about current Brandon Miller. So I bump him up to basically Terry Rozier's expected value in this offense. Now, granted, I've seen he's only hit that in 1/3 of the games. So my exposure, 25%. That's a little bit below my confidence based on the number of games, right? There was that one game he smashed for us. So practically speaking, what does that mean? Should I take the 30%? Am I slightly more confident in this play than I let on? Yes, I'm slightly more confident in this play. I still like Brandon Miller just because of that one game where he totally killed me by collecting all those rebounds. Oh, right. Right. Not the same situation though. That was a game with Nick Richards out, and they started like it was like PJ Washington at the 5. So I remember why now. I remember why. Back down to 25%. And let's make it just double Brandon Miller because he's going to rely more on 15%. Now that we're relying on Brandon Miller having to make shots and not getting those zillion rebounds because Nick Richards is out, we have to have him a little bit further down the list. Miles McBride. No. What's happened there? No? If he gets the minutes, but he's not going to get the minutes. So what are we doing here? Miles McBride's not on the list. Click, unclick. Put those to somebody else. No Miles McBride. It's just same thing. It's like a worse version of Reggie Jackson. You can still get to some Dinwiddie. If he hits his shots, he could absolutely break the slate. Anybody else down here? No, not really. Surprised so little Jokic. We'll see if it stays that way. I guess probably just slightly better value in Giannis. Oh, we're not getting to anybody. Neither of them. Whatever. Yeah, we're jamming. Okay, we're going 70% Doncic in this current run, which we won't. That's a little bit high for me. I think probably 50 or 60% for Doncic. Okay, that's enough. Remember, you're good enough, you're strong enough. And gosh darn it, someone's got to win that money. Might as well be us.